Guys, I'm live. How you guys doing? So I want to do a physics lesson. Wow. Let's just give this a shot. I studied relativity in college. I got the high score in the class, but it was just a small class. It was only 1 unit worth of a 4-unit class. I think I got 92 on the percent in the class or whatever. I'm going to talk about things about that. The fundamental thing that makes relativity work and makes it true is that the speed of light is constant no matter how fast you move relative to it. So if I'm standing still and a beam of light goes by me at speed of light, it's going by me at the speed of light. If I'm moving and it goes by me, it doesn't make doesn't make that light travel slower for me. Light still travels at the speed of light for me, no matter how fast I'm traveling. Or if I'm going toward the light and the light's going one way, it doesn't make the light go by faster for me. The light still goes by at the same speed for me. That's why one reason it's called relativity is because no matter how fast you go, you see light going at the speed of light. You can't run so fast that light speeds up or slows down for you. If I were a particle going half the speed of light and I saw a light particle, it wouldn't be going half the speed of light because I'm moving half the speed of light as well. It would still go by at the speed of light itself. Just like an observer standing still would still see light going by at the speed of light. So when with light and with motion that dares breach that barrier of the speed of light, space-time alters itself to keep that from happening, to keep anything from going faster than the speed of light. Here's a good thought experiment. It just made sense to me. Okay, say I'm in a spaceship. Okay, and in my spaceship's going by at half the speed of light. Let's say really fast spaceship, right? Now I'm inside the spaceship, and the spaceship is going half the speed of light, and I shine a light beam up into a mirror, which makes the light beam bounce down, and I have a mirror down below it, and the light bounces again back to the top mirror, and the light bounces up and down for me. So I'm in this ship going half the speed of light, and all I see is light going like this. Okay, that's the amount of motion I see. But if I'm watching, if I'm standing outside the ship, and I'm not going any speed, and I see the ship going by at half the speed of light, I'm not going to see up and down like that. I'm going to see like a sine wave. I'm going to see that as it goes up and down, but yet also going across me, it's going to make a longer path. So if the speed of light were not constant, that would mean that I see the light. I see the light going. I see the light going. Let me think here. I see the light going faster than you do because I see more movement per time than you do. All you see is this, so that you would say light's not that fast. It's only going this far. But standing apart, I would say no, light's going fast. I saw it going like that. It moved faster for me. Not true. Either observer has to see light travel at the same speed. Therefore, the only thing that can make that happen to compensate is to say that the person inside the ship goes through time slower, which is why the light can go the same distance, but it takes just as long as the long distance. See, the light to them is just going like this, but then the time slows down, so they're moving through time slower, so that up and down is slower the only way to make that happen is time slows down so that their beam like this goes by at the same speed as the beam of the guy watching it that goes like this. Because inside the ship, it's not just going like this, it's going like this. See that? Because as the guy sees it like that, the other guy in the ship just sees this. What does that mean? Time is slower for that person. That person's not going to perceive that quickly like the person watching. So an object moving fast enough for goes slower, time slows down. And that's a simple thought experiment that's actually been, not only validated by Einstein's theory, but I think they do tests like that all the time in particle accelerators to prove things like that. I have a theory, and it's not. I'm probably full of crap, but I've been walking like 37 years, and I have a feeling. Well, first of all, I have two feelings. I have a feeling that when I walk, I'm in such a rhythm that I feel time going a little slower for me. I call it I vibe, I groove when I'm walking. I just do. Now I'm not gonna say that I go that's that much of a difference. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just in hyperspace or something. But I do feel time differently when I'm walking than I do when I'm sitting still. Right now, I'm sitting still and a little like that. But if I'm walking, I would just be, as time slows down for me when I walk. And the fact that I've walked consistently every day, well, not every day, of course, nothing's perfect, but I've walked consistently for the 37 years, I think has aged me better. I hope you guys like that thought experiment. Light has to be the same velocity. So if it's got shorter distance, it must be time must slow down. So it takes longer to get there. Whereas this guy doesn't need that. And so the guy going by goes through time slower. And just a few little tidbits about that. Lights are made up of photons, which even though they are wave particles, they have no mass. Something with no mass cannot accelerate. Or actually, that's true. But what I mean is, a particle with no mass cannot be still, because nothing's stopping it from moving. Momentum equals mv. If momentum is p, mass is m, and v is velocity. If mass goes to zero, the velocity of any momentum has to be infinite, because only 0 times an infinity can equal a positive momentum. I think that's how it goes, something like that. But if you have 0 mass, nothing can stop you from, nothing can keep you from going the speed of light. You can't slow down, in other words. The particle, you have to have mass to be able to slow down. If you have no mass, you have not infinite velocity, but you fly at the speed of light. And since light has no mass, it travels at the speed of light, called c. It's approximately 186,000 miles per second, or 299 point something kilometers per second, or something like that. 299,000 kilometers per second. I don't have this exact figure memorized. But then you might say, why can't it go infinitely fast then? If it has no mass, what keeps it from going? If m is 0, why can't it go infinitely fast? And the answer to that is the vacuum of space doesn't let it go faster. There's something called epsilon 0 and mu 0 or something. It's the way that the vacuum of space only lets light go a certain speed. It's not because of the light's fault. It's because the vacuum of our space, the way it's constructed, won't let anything go faster than that. It constrains the light, not the light itself, but the vacuum in space constrains the light to make it, only lets it go the speed of light, not faster, not slower, not infinite. If light, two things. If anything could go faster than light, it would go back. We would have a time loop where things could happen before they were caused to happen. I could send a text, but the person got it before I sent it. Suddenly, someone got a text from me. I didn't send it. Oh, now I sent it, but they already got it. Reverse of causality. Time effect would precede cause. effect would come before cause. There would be no linear forward movement of time. Time would be all messy. Things, you could send something, you could go back in time, and you could do all kinds of crazy stuff. You could go back in time and kill Jesus before he had to die on the cross. We'd all be doomed if that story's true. Let's go back and kill Jesus. Well, if he literally existed and you literally could go faster than the speed of light, you could literally go back and shoot Jesus when he was a baby or whatever, knowing whatever. I don't know. You could do all kinds of harm, but you can't, because the universe doesn't let the universe doesn't let that happen very easily. Put it that way. There's something called momentum. I don't know all the terms for a lot of this, but when something starts to approach the speed of light, its mass becomes infinite. And if something has infinite mass, it takes infinite velocity. I mean, infinite energy to make it go any faster. To move something with infinite mass takes infinite energy. And since you can't have infinite energy because you're a finite being, once the mass goes up to infinity, no matter how much energy you give it, you can't make it go any faster. One way of looking at it is the inertia goes up, but the other way is that the mass goes up, so that it takes infinite velocity to make it go any faster. And that's what happens to anything that we try to push faster than light, even particles, even tiny neutrinos and things that they accelerate in particle accelerators. As small as they are, once they start to go faster than light, their mass gets so big in their world that it takes, no matter how much energy you throw at it, it can't go any faster. It's too big. It just gets big. If it were to approach it, it would get infinitely big, and then you would take infinite energy just to get it to go even more than 0% faster, which would be necessary because by definition, I said you haven't reached the speed of light, you're only approaching it. So you can't really breach that barrier. If you could, the whole thing with time would cease to function correctly. Another way of looking at that is if the mass of something were imaginary. And if that were true, if the mass of it turns out in math, if the mass of anything is an imaginary number, or by definite or by implication a complex number, because they have imaginary numbers and real numbers added together, you could have things called tachyons, tachyons, that could theoretically move faster than light, and that would be the end of our universe. Sorry. At least as we know it, and maybe altogether. In 2011 in France, they had such a scenario where they thought that might be possible. They thought they might have created some tachyons, and for a couple months they thought that was going to be the end of things. Funny how we kept experimenting anyway. LOL. Turns out it was an equipment malfunction or error. It was something got calibrated wrong, and it turned out to be a mechanical problem. They fixed it, and everything went back to normal. So people were holding their breath there for a minute, because if tachyons exist, you can go back in time. Time is no longer linear. Time is cyclical. Time is a loop. Time is a feedback loop. You could have the output go back and influence the input, which then influences the output, and you'd be like Time Cop, Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. All those time travel things. Interestingly, in Star Trek, they move faster than light. They call it warp speed, and yet nothing happens in time to them. Well, that's funny, but whatever. I mean, I love Star Trek. One of my favorite shows of all time. No pun intended. I said the word time. So anything else I wanted to add to this? So nothing. Oh, here's another point. For some reason, even after all that I've said, I never mentioned what about the actual number C is equal to, the actual number of value of C. Does that matter? No pun intended, because matter is a thing in physics also. Well, the answer is yes. If C were slightly higher, all this chaos would happen. You wouldn't atoms wouldn't be able to form for some reason. We wouldn't have matter as we know it. So, oops, no universe. If C were less than C, if the speed of light were less than C, also the universe wouldn't function correctly. We'd have time paradoxes and time loops, and all kinds of things would happen, and we wouldn't be able to have a universe. So what I'm saying is, even the fact that we have a universe, that it even exists, is not only a function of light, the speed of light being unbreakable, meaning nothing can go faster than it, but it had to be just exactly what the speed it turns out to be. If it were faster or slower, we would all not exist. The universe wouldn't exist, and I think we wouldn't exist if the universe didn't exist. Everything would screw up. So what I'm really getting at, I'm not really sure what I'm getting at. I'm probably saying a lot of things I don't really know what I'm getting at completely, but nothing about our existence, something non-random made all of our existence possible. That's all I'm going to say, I think. Something or someone decided to make that value just right so the universe could exist at all, much less any, you know, and then within that made it so that nothing can go faster than that. It had to be constant, and it had to be exactly the variable, the amount that it is. For some reasons, I figure out the math yourself, but it works out that way. Not going to say I have my head around that, but that what I'm saying I believe is true. Anything else? And interestingly, I put an article on my TikTok and YouTube where I found an article that said that, interestingly, as far as the walking thing I do, it's for health. It's not how much you walk, it's how long you walk for. The interval of walking is important. The fact that I walk all day me walking all day, 15 miles, has much more effect than walking a mile a day for 15 days. It just does. It's not the same if you just do it over time. It's the fact that I do it consistently and in a certain regularity, and that I keep doing it for a longer period than just a couple bursts. I don't just walk from here to my car and then from my car home and from my car into the store and my store back into the car. Not little bursts, but the fact that I walk and walk and walk and walk. And that's the effect of health that it adds to. So I believe it's made me age slower and be healthier. Live against people in rock and roll.